welcome everyone here and everyone out there. So Thursday night again, and every Thursday night we go into some insights or through a subject that actually leads us back to spirituality, back to ourselves, back to the soul. And then we end with a nice deep meditation. So today we'll talk about a few things, but first of all, dharma. Dharma is a term, it's a Sanskrit word for soulful action or purpose. So we're all looking for purpose, right? We're looking for meaning, and we're looking for what should we do, how should we act, that it's in cosmic order, it's with personal order, it's aligned to the bigger picture of our life. So which will bear deeper fruit than just a personal gratification. So when we come to dharma, we want to look at the prospects of, or the potential. So if you look at our own being, we've got this unique DNA. So we want to start with, I have the most unique DNA. I have trillions of cells, over 50 trillion of cells in my body, which contain the same atomic power as the atomic bombs. That's the energy force that I have. How can I make a difference in my life and life of others? How can I make a difference in the world with this power? So that is dharma for you. So spirituality also means that you don't start with the I, because when you bring in the I, they say I for illness. The illness starts right away. You think sort of not with wellness, not with wellness. You think everything in a diseased way or a short way, or you kind of downplay everything when you just think, start your journey with the I. But when you think of dharma, and then you see that the potential to act soulfully, and how much force you have, like I said, trillions of cells that are brilliant, and this energy force of 50,000 atomic bombs, what does that mean? Where can they lead us? So what can I do today? What can I do right now? And what can I create my world with? So our first, of course, first and foremost duty is to awaken the power. And that's the spiritual way. Today we will talk about the rebel, the way of the rebel. So rebel is just the brave you who can look at things in the face and and then they're called to action. They don't see things. They do something about something that is not fitting the bigger picture. So it could be abuse, it could be systems, it could be governance, it could be traditions, it could be rituals, it could be behavior patterns, it could be anything at all. But they actually look at it and they don't think it's in line with a bigger order. I'm not talking about personal opinions. I'm talking about something deeper. And when they look at it, they're brave enough. The rebel has the courage and the bravery to see it and put some action towards it. They expose that in terms of they bring it to light, because anything that you bring to the conscious mind or to the surface can be dealt with. But anything that's hidden and is a big secret, we'll never get to. So there's so many aspects and so much dynamic to the rebel. It's not just bravery. It's the power to see, the courage to act, and then to actually keep doing that all their life. Now that is their source of enthusiasm and energy. So it's non-stop energy, non-stop enthusiasm all through life. So when do they say in spiritual terms, when do they say that you're sick, you're diseased? When you wake up in the morning and you don't have the enthusiasm to wake up or to do something, right? Or you don't have the enthusiasm to be compassionate. Now that is a state of disease, right? So it's not just the body disease, it's in the mind. Somewhere we're not feeling complete, we're not whole. So the rebel, and we'll explore this in a little depth so we can actually, and then have a conversation around it, because everybody has the rebel. Everybody has been brave at some point or another, but the bravery usually is covered with either confusion or fear. So we never get to awaken or come to the forefront, even though it's in you. So these conversations actually help us just to bring out the rebel, recognize the rebel in us, and then start to act in the way of the rebel, which is a very, very fulfilling life. And if you look at it in these times, what do we need most? We need rebels. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of systems that have become, or traditions that have become redundant, right? So we are having to, what do we want to do in this time? We can't follow those old systems or old belief patterns or values, right? So at some point we have to be able to look at our world and day to day keep calling. And as we act from that bravery of seeing and acting, we rise to our top, to our best. And this is every day. So it's not something that you keep acting 10 years later, it'll bear fruit. The rebel, when they act, when they see something, they act spontaneously, it bears fruit instantly. So we can measure it was small action or it was big action, but not really. All small acts have big impacts. And that is the way of the rebel. So if you look at it, Mahatma Gandhi was also known as a rebel. Nelson Mandela was also known as the rebel. And these times are so brilliant because we've never had social media like we have now. We have so much support on these systems that, and one typical example of that was the Pepsi ad. And I'm sure everybody's seen that, but I think the model was Jennifer Kendall or Joseph, starts with a J. Kendall, I think is her last name.
Oh, Kylie Jenner or something.
Something like that. But it was, yeah, maybe I got the name wrong.
Jenner's daughter.
Yeah.
That Olympian?
Yeah.
His daughter is a model.
So this is the model, and they do a Pepsi ad, and they pay millions of dollars for this Pepsi ad, but it was right after the Black Lives Matter movement, back to back, when they released this ad. So they're showing this movement, but they're showing it in a whole trivial way. That's how people perceived it. And in this model's giving a can of Coke to the policeman. So everybody's smiling and happy, yet there's the movement at the back. So since it was back to back with Black Lives Matter, which mattered a lot to everybody, so it was not taken lightly. And within moments, it went viral. And so much so that Pepsi had to withdraw. After millions of dollars, they had to withdraw the ad. They had to apologize. And so it was the people who called for that action, that this was not sensitive. So see, the power that we have today, what I'm saying is the power that we have today through social media we've never had before. So we may have more chaos. Chaos is simply things are changing. That's all it is. It's just things are changing, and we're not able to make that leap into the change, or we're not, because we don't understand it, or we have fear, or we are just too comfortable where we were, right? So fear also comes from comfort. Now, way of the rebel actually is not looking for a comfortable life. They're looking for a full life. Because anytime you have comfort, some level you stop to grow. The growth doesn't come. And no human being stops growing. The brain keeps growing till the end, or functioning till the end. So the power of media actually is a big support to us. And then there's many personal levels also where you can see the rebel, right? And I'll give you one more example, and then we can talk a little bit about that from your lives. So there was a case, and I'm going to give you my personal example. I used to work with the Hudson's Bay Company. I was a supervisor there. I was there for many years. Great job, great people. But 1 year, I had realized very early that all their management was male. Now I'm talking about early 80s. It was, they never hired a female in assistant manager or manager's role. Okay? So it was all men. So I was a supervisor. Next position would have been acting or assistant manager. So, but I was never graduated to that. So there was, they hired a guy from England or somewhere, brought him in as, and they had me train the person. So 6 weeks I had to do intense training. And after that, he was my boss. He became the assistant manager. So I am, right from start, one of those rebels. I don't take, like, it's a matter of, this is not just, this is not proper. So actually, I meet the manager and nothing's done, and I meet, so on, and HR, nothing is done. So I'm really mad. And this is early 80s. So they didn't even have too many Indians, never mind, ethnic people. It was just, so I was one of the two, I think. So it was really interesting. This is when actually I thought, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to go to Human Rights Commission. And I wasn't ready to pay for a lawyer because I wanted to sue them. But I had heard human rights, actually, if their case is, if there's enough a case there, they appoint the lawyer. So this nice, beautiful man, Mr. Cato, was appointed as my lawyer to argue or whatever. And of course, it went a long time. They asked for records, work records, and my performance, which was excellent. My performance 13 years was really good. So what worked for me was that they had 6 months, 6 weeks of training this guy, and they were paying him 50 cents an hour more than I was when he became the assistant manager. So it wasn't that much. But the fact that it was 50 cents over and above mine, and he had got the designation, it was a big deal. So when this came out, they started to negotiate, and then they started to offer me the position back. They said that they didn't offer it to me because they knew I wouldn't move and the job was in Red Deer. I don't know how they came up with, because I was in charge of all 7 stores here. Red Deer was part of it, so there's no way the job would be in Red Deer. But anyways, that was their story. So I said, nope, I'm still taking them to court. I don't want a settlement, because meantime, I heard of so many cases where they had done it to many women, not just me. They had sealed their fate just as department head, and after such hard work. So just fast forward, I think it took about 8 months or 9 months, just at the step of the court downtown, just one night before they again approached, and this time they were ready to apologize, ready to give the job back, and also compensation for everything that I had been put through. So that was early 1980s. Now, being ethnic, being female, everybody told me, you're crazy, that your name will be in the papers, and what are you doing? You won't get a job again. Everybody will know you. But to me, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't rest till I had brought this to conclusion, because it's not, so it may have started with my personal issue. It was, but then as it gets bigger, you find that there's other people who may not be able to do anything, who may not have had proof. Because Mr. Cato told me, the lawyer, that there were many complaints before me, but there was no proof ever. Because they were, but in my case, it was really obvious because of the salary and everything else. So that was not as much a personal win, even though I thought it would be. It was much bigger than that, because I actually felt a sense of accomplishment, that the we part was there. We had gotten there. The women behind me would never have to actually put up with this again. So it's just really interesting that, what the power of one person, rebel, what they can do. So we can just quickly share, in your lives, have you been the rebel? Have you been scared to be the rebel? What would you say? Anybody? No. Conversations help us understand it a little more deeply. So
I think I was born a rebel.
Okay.
Just my whole life. Like, I remember instances in my childhood, and Becky knows me for a long time now, but instances in my childhood, whether it be family, at school, at university, in the job place, in my personal life, in my teaching that I do, I've always gone in and rocked the boat where things were not aligned, I guess, with higher values, right? Where the underdog was always thrown under the bus and, trying to struggle through. And it's been rewarding, but I've also lost jobs because of it. I've lost friends because of it. And yet still at the end of the day, I will stand up and fight. And there are times where I look into my own situation and I get tired. I just go, you know what? It would be really nice if someone stood up for me just once, right? And so you get that too.
Because, this is, this happens when we don't realize that we don't cash in on the power that's coming as the rebel. We think we're standing alone. The we is not there.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, that how much energy, life force you have when you're doing this is part of your nature. You would do it anyways.
Yeah,
but now many people are being helped, right?
Yeah.
So when we look at the source and we consciously connect the dots, this is where our spirituality and wisdom also come. That I'm not alone. I'm not the only fighter. For a long time, I thought I was the fighter.
Yeah.
But when I realized that others also are standing, and it does make a huge difference to our society with one person or few joining and then many benefiting. You have a continuous supply of life force and wisdom.
Yeah.
But if we think we're alone and we've been punished at a personal level, then we actually start to lose the energy.
Yeah. And it's happened, it's interesting because it's exactly like you said. Like, I might be feeling that way, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, someone will come to me and go, oh my God, I'm so glad you stood up because you have no idea what that did to help me. And then I'm like, oh, really? Sometimes it's just an acknowledgement of that. But in my role for work, I mean, I'm a change manager and a transformational leader at the core of who I am. So I'm always out there kind of doing it.
Yes. But now consciously, if we look at it, you could pull the energy forth.
And that is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's what you will do. That's the big difference.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
I had another story, because I get into these situations all the time. This was again a personal one where someone I knew was in her 60s and still being abused by her husband. And I knew them closely, so none of the relatives or friends would stand up because the man is a very senior person, very well known, like a celebrity status. So nobody wants to not be friends with that man because they're benefiting in some way. Sometimes you just have these people who are big and tall in society, just standing by them or knowing them by their first name gives people some self-worth. But anyways, so there's a lot of people, a lot of support. It went unexamined, unquestioned and both are in their late 60s now, and it's still happening. So of course, I'm the whistleblower, and I put it on Facebook, again, social media. There was a huge family page, and it stopped. So there was a lot of sort of chaos because half the people, but everybody woke up. Anybody who was on that platform woke up and started to notice and started to comment. So of course, half were that this should be stopped, blah, blah, blah. And the other half were, so what? If a man beats a woman once in a few months, it's not a big deal. Like men and women have that when they're quarreling. So she must have deserved it. She must have provoked it. So we're getting all of this. But you know what? It stopped. It stopped right there. And everybody knew because it was exposed. So to bring it to light, exposing something takes a lot of, strength, a lot of, you have to uphold that bravery despite your fear. And despite that you will lose people, because I can't, when you're doing, it's like not a fight, but you're on a mission. So you don't even stop to think what you would lose. I've never thought of that. If I thought of that, I wouldn't do it probably. The fear would set in. But maybe I'm not built that way, so I never thought. And I did lose out because the family that was siding him still, even though the abuse stopped, they still sided him because they wanted to be in that company. And but I was ousted from that family station, which actually did hurt later. Because I thought that why not just correct something? Why do you have to drop the family? Like if there's a problem, it says, why do you need to drop the people who actually bring it to light? They've helped you most. So why do they become the enemy, So, because to me, it was never Hudson's Bay, whether it was other cases, they were never the enemy. It was just correcting something democratically, because you have the right to do so. That's not working. And that's for all situations and all systems, relationships, anything. You have the power to look at it, to expose it so it's more in the light, and then to strategize and deal with it. So it's just a correcting point. And the rebel is really perfect for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too, if you point out certain things, they don't want to take responsibility and accountability. They might have to look in the mirror and hold themselves accountable. Why have I allowed this loved one to be beaten continually? Right?
Yeah.
And people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They get to a certain point in life, then maybe where their own self-development steps in and they're going to have to look at that stuff. But a lot of people just want to stick their head in the sand and pretend it's not going on, and they don't want to rock the boat, or they want someone else to do it. And then they're not being the observer and have an objective place.
Yes.
It all becomes personalized.
It's the I.
And then it's like, well, it's you, and then it's me.
It's the I disease.
Yeah.
Because when you think with the I, then you're thinking of your profit and loss. When you think with the we, you have a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
So anything that starts with the I is just a little more self-serving. You're not really going to be able to do more than that. And your agendas are really different. Yeah. It's like every situation, do I benefit, do I not? But some of us start with the I, but then make the transition into the we very quickly. So I think spirituality, deeper knowledge, makes us do that. And one thing very interesting about knowledge, your knowledge doesn't advance when you repeat something that you already know. But it does advance when you refute false dogmas. That is advancement of knowledge. So if we just look at this, that it is not repeating what is already known, but it is refuting the false dogmas, the things that are coming in the way. And as we challenge them or break them down, we get to a deeper place of knowing. And that is knowledge. So if we knew knowledge, how knowledge works, we would actually be using it a lot more effectively.
Because I've had a lot of people, even in dialogue, they'll say, oh, that's a really interesting perspective. I never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just helping people see the different, or sometimes helping them find the answer, right? Like I have people coming to me and they're like, I don't know how to deal with this situation, right? And so you can talk about the different options and stuff, and you can see the light bulbs going on, and it's just like, oh, I never thought of it like that. And then when you talk to them after, it's like, well, yeah, it made a huge difference. Like that's why I like your cards, right? And because it gives people other options outside of just thinking of this one thing and how to deal with the situation.
So if we looked at the rebel, how does it feel when I'm talking about it? Does it feel comfortable, comforting, like this is something in you? Or does it feel outside of you?
Both.
Both?
It feels provocative, and yet I don't call myself a rebel.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually really good because both coexist.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. And both, but if you're looking for life force and more energy and even more brilliance in the cells, it's actually physiologically true that the rebel has way more life force than the one who's very comfortable. Because you become passive and sort of passionate, and then it's like a little piggy, just very comfortable, right? So we don't challenge, we don't need to, life is okay. But which is okay too, but at the same time, what is our dharma as human beings? How do we perform best? What are we here to do? So when we look at that, look at the deeper meaning of dharma, then it becomes a calling. Rebel becomes a calling. So you can look at it tomorrow. If you have the rebel, you just even think of situations that you could do or talk to. It doesn't mean a fight. You just have conversations. Start with conversations and expose it through that dialogue. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about dialogue. That start to have the dialogue. It doesn't matter which way the dialogue goes, but start to have that. And when you start to have these dialogues, you have way more energy and enthusiasm. And your brain cells are firing differently. And a lot of your different parts of the brain cells are being activated. And there's just that much more passion and energy. And that passion is compassion. Because the rebel, this is built-in compassion. They just don't do it for themselves. It's always a deeper, some depth to it. So it's all, the fight could be personal, but then it's deeper. Anything in your circumference, your sphere, anything before and after you will get affected. So it's something to actually understand and look forward to, and maybe Google who the rebels were and Google their life stories. All of a sudden you will actually have a new youthful energy. It's not a curiosity. It's examining power that turns on the lights. And then you see, boom, see it there. Okay, automatic action. Yeah. It's just dialogue. And it's amazing what happens. It's non-stop energy, non-stop wisdom, non-stop strength, non-stop youth. That is the key. Enthusiasm is youth. We should value it. Relationships start to die. Our health starts to die, right? Everything starts to go under if we don't have that enthusiasm in life, right? Then we're just making do with supplements, vitamins, and just a little bit here and there, right? And it's got to be the we, because the I is part of the we. So we have to understand that I am in you and you in me. There's no two. It looks like it. You and I can have a dialogue. It's just loudly having a dialogue with the self. Because we also have different opinions, different states, it's like different people in our head, right? So other person is just like another person in our head. So it's really like a self-dialogue, but a loud one with another entity, human organism present. So it's actually really exciting. Does it make sense? You'll see the energy. Come back and tell me next week. Just a couple of cases, and I thrive energetically and in wisdom, even remembering my own story. I'm going to tell you one more story, and it's really interesting, and you'll see the big impact where people socially want to change something. I don't know if you guys remember Howard Lyman. He was a animals right activist, a lawyer, and a farmer in Montana with 5,000 heads of cattle. So had some problem in the brain at age 29, went into sort of a really like a coma state, not quite, but a stroke or something happened in the hospital. They thought he would never walk again. And he at that time, he's not religious or anything. He tells me that he at that time he felt there was somebody there and said, if I can get out of this, if I can walk in so many days, I don't know where this came from, I will never touch meat again. Yeah, so because somewhere he was realizing that he was thinking of mad cow disease. This is really early, before Oprah's story, where Oprah was sued. And she had to fight this case for 6 years in Amarillo, Texas, with the beef industry. This is before that. So this is the man, and he became an animal. He walked and sold his cattle. Now he's going city to city telling people that, look, how are your cows fed? Look what you're eating. So he's telling them that it's really gross, but true. He's got pictures and he's got movie clips of dead pets. Some of the pets had collars on them. Dead kill. So whether it's cats, whether it's dogs, so they're all mulching them, they're making them into this puree and feeding the cows that. And the cows get bigger. And then people eat this meat. But now, even when these pets were put to death, there were chemicals used. So they're also in the body. So this man is the first one here talking about mad cow disease, that this could become very common. We could affect our children, our adults, or anybody who is eating cows could actually become very, very sick. So this doesn't nobody's listening, because who wants to listen to this message? We have this, especially in North America, where meat is, or China, who would listen to him in China, so where they eat everything. So anyways, in the process, he had come to Calgary. We'd done some work together because he wanted his message loud and clear. He finds himself 6 weeks later on Oprah's show. Oprah makes a statement when she hears that cows are fed dead meat, and other kills like that. She says on television that I will never eat a hamburger again, So this is her statement. They're both sued for 6 years later by the industry. But after that, the effects of that case, Oprah's never been sued before. She talks a lot about the trials, the tough time. She moved all her shows. They were being recorded from Texas. But this changed the entire industry, where it was almost illegal to do what they were doing before, the farmers were doing before.
And that's where she met Dr. Phil.
That's where she met Dr. Phil, yeah. So look at the big impact by one man falling sick, waking up, and he had read about the mad cow disease, but didn't have this, and then all of a sudden becomes the biggest rebel. Spends all his money, thousands of dollars, first giving the message, then basically fighting the case. So if we look at that, it may start with the I, but look where what happened. And we, the people, are benefiting from our beef that hasn't come from our pets. It's huge. So That is the way of the rebel. Now, not everybody will have that opportunity, or they don't need to. But every day, in every situation, the rebel is at work. We just need to be more conscious and put it to work, because this is our source of health and wisdom, automatic wisdom. We don't have to read 10,000 books, you know. We don't have to go to the temples and the churches. This type of wisdom is social, it's practical, it affects us now and here. And it just is all derived from within. So that is our dharma. We will start our meditation now. So we will keep the back straight. What is the time? Can anybody?
It is 7:52.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
10:08.
So we will, I'll guide you through the meditation since you haven't been here for a while. And just sit straight, feet like that, hands here. And then it'll be all guided. So easy to do. So back straight, shoulders back. If at any time during the meditation you feel the need to adjust the body, do so. But the body will start to align itself as soon as we start. So our intention today for the people here and out there is to get into the deepest place in the soul, deepest connection into the cosmos, where we can draw wisdom, energy, life force, intelligence, intuition, and deep, deep, deep knowledge. Smile on the face. It's always a gateway to those deeper, deeper places within us. I want you to start by placing your right hand on your heart. So I want you to breathe from focusing on the heart. So breathing from the heart, rhythmic breaths. So what is rhythmic breathing? Equal inhale, equal exhale. Soft, buttery breathing. So even though it's a bit jerky in the beginning, soon it'll get smooth. So just breathing, focusing on the heart. So if your thoughts move, feelings move, then just come to the place where you're touching the heart and start breathing from there. We'll do this for 3 minutes. If your hands gets tired, you can bring it down and still keep your focus on the heart. We're going to start the Blue Miracle meditation. I want you to visualize bright blue light at the base of your spine. revolving, rotating round and round. So you can feel the vibrations, imagine the vibrations at the bottom of the spine. And the rotation gets faster and faster and faster. Let this light come up now. You're not going to move it. Just by imagining, it'll start to come up. Up, 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 into the mid-back. It's healing light. Up, 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 into the shoulders. Up through the neck to the area where the neck and the head meet. So right at the back, visualize this movement again, the spiral movement round and round, really fast this time. Feel it energetically. So the space just at the bottom of the head where the head and the neck meet. Great, you're doing very well. And now, feel the blue light coming into both sides of the brain. Left side, right side. Entire brain is filled with color blue. The head, light moving down into the body. The entire body is being filled with this healing blue light. We are going to repeat the sound of Om together 7 times. The healing sound of Om, loud and clear. Feel the sensations of where the sound is coming from, and imagine this light coming out of you, creating an aura or 7-foot sphere of light around you. With each chant, the light comes to 7 feet. So nice deep breath each time. Last time. Great. Thoughts are passing like clouds. Feelings will pass like clouds. Sensations will pass. Every time your thought moves, you can come back to the body, to the heart, and breathe from there. Visualize a golden ball of light in the belly button and breathe for the next moment into this ball of light. This is to awaken, to ignite the rebel life force, power, strength, wisdom. Visualize another ball of light in the heart region and breathe into the ball in the heart. Shoulders back, fearless. Visualize another ball of light in the throat region and breathe into that. And now into the third eye, so the forehead region, center. And finally, a bigger ball of light between the shoulder blades. So upper back, shoulder blades. And now breathe and see the difference, the strength, the power. Let us close with 3 rounds of Om again, together. Om. Experience the body, become aware of awareness itself. You're not just the body. Mind is not just in the brain. This awareness is not just inside, it's outside, coming from consciousness. You're not confined to the eye, the body. Your purest form of consciousness everywhere. Okay, you can rub your hands. And touch yourself head to toe 3 times, grounding. This is a protection, so nothing negative enters, comes into your environment. No viruses, no negativity. And you can hold your space clear. You can open your eyes as and when. So how was it? Yeah,
Just listening.
your skin is brighter. So, yeah, so that means the flow and the energy has risen. Yeah, that's great. How was that for you, Kathleen?
It was nice. I have a sore neck right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's on Facebook. You can repeat it. First thing to do is stop thinking. So I just want to say that to you. Stop thinking and start to be in the body more than the mind, because brighter answers come from the bigger wisdom of the body and of life. And when we are thinking, we can't see the answers, we can't see the whole picture, right? So just for a while, give yourself that space and healing space. So it's quite amazing how many brilliant things come up then. Yeah. And there's no rush in life. If there is breath, we'll still have a lot more to do. If there's no breath, there's no rush anyways. You're not going anywhere. So either way, it's good news. How about you, Becky?
Yeah, it was good. During the talk, I was thinking a lot about kind of how I'm like a soft rebel.
Okay, okay.
I feel like Karen, like everything I'm doing right now is actually
Yes.
really rebellious.
Yes,
But in that rebellion, I've just kind of come up against things that make it feel mundane or like I'm stalled or stagnant.
Yeah,
and I'm,
yeah.
But, when I think about, well, why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing? It's very rebellious.
Makes
right?
sense.
It
Yeah.
absolutely is. And when I think about that at the core, it gives me a lot of energy.
Yeah, so draw energy from that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you're, always leave the opportunity for more, because it's amazing how many impacts we can be part of. So leave always a window open for more in life. Yeah. So the meditation does that. It takes you into the more zone. It automatically draws more energy, more life force, more intuitiveness. So the rebel cannot survive without, it needs to station and ground itself into some state of consciousness in the physical being itself. So that's why meditation is one way that you can be fully grounded, but you are experiencing the spaciousness in your consciousness. So rebel cannot survive. They will actually lose the energy if they're not grounded. So meditation and deep stillness techniques give you that. It's your station, plug-in station. So without meditation or some deeper, stillness, it becomes harder. So always do that. Today, the meditation we did was specifically for that. So you can actually repeat this. And yeah. Okay. Anybody else here? Or
I was thinking a fair bit about the warrior thing in my life, and I've had a number of times when I was a warrior, and I suffered a fair bit for that.
yeah.
And it's like I go up and I'm kind of like a warrior, and then I go back down because it didn't work out often what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And come back down again, and then I sort of start and go back up again. And that's the way it seems to have been for me. I'm in one of the downs waiting for the
Yeah. Yeah.
opportunity again.
So you're losing fuel. And fuel means people powered, but there's always people who will support you. So rebel is not about making a name. It's not about making more friends. It's not about being popular on social media. When we start to look for gratification, it's lost. So we have to, the I can come into the rebel. The minute the I comes in, you've lost the power. The rebel is something that intuitively calls you to be brave. and do something which is part of your real nature, true nature. It's dharma. It's your calling. It's the only reason we're on this planet. So if we understand it like I expressed it today, you will not have that lows. And what happens is that 2 people gone, few more people added. Our sphere is always the same. You're never without people. But when we think we've lost something, then we think it was a tragedy and we won't play the cards well next time because we don't want to take a risk. And you have nothing to risk. You one life and the outcome and the last act is death. Either way, nobody's going to go with you. You're not going to take anything with nothing to lose but be the rebel. So actually we were not taught like this, educated like that, or trained like that in this wisdom. So we would start up and then do something and fall. And without friends, sometimes without money, sometimes without social network. So, but now it's never too late. Like I said, if we're breathing the rebel in and out, and till death, it is good. So here's how many, you only need one person to talk to. You only eat one little bite at a time. How much air can you gasp? You only take one breath. So it's the power in that moment. You always have that one person who loves you to death, who'll give up anything for you. Right? And that we all have. But we get specific that I'm not getting attention there, or I'm not getting my, some gratification. So when it comes to personal gratification, we don't transition into the we, I'm in you, you in me, now let's play the game, right? Then we run out of gas and fuel. And we've all had this because nobody told us at our early ages that, hey, this is the way. This is a very soulful way, right? Yeah, we weren't taught. So that's why we met these outcomes. But now you can start to share this. You've got a group, you lead their meditations, or so wherever your platform is, you can start to share this wisdom bit by bit, bite by bite, so it grows and they grow. So nobody can complain that we were never taught this, right? It is our duty to also, when we learn, to teach, to share. It is our dharma to share. How will they know? Why should they suffer when we can teach them not to suffer? Right? And you're never too old, never too sick. Yeah? Okay. Sylvia, good?
With the meditation, what was really cool was when we were concentrating on the heart, I had this huge heat wave. It just really was like burning up and became really bright. About the rebel thing, I feel bad because I was always a coward. I always didn't stand up for myself. So yeah, I did a good job.
Well, hello. Say hello to the rebel. There's lots of time.
You know what, though, Sylvia? I'm not a natural rebel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I grew up with them.
Yeah.
But I am not a rebel and partially I think because I thought, well, everybody should do what feels right to them. Like, who am I to say?
Yes.
Right? Sure,
Yes.
there's injustice is a different story.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just spousing off to somebody that, oh, I think you should do it this way, never really, felt right. But I do have to say, as I get older, regret has turned me into the softest version of a rebel, if you will, where now it's like I have had enough regret that I'm like, oh, I wish I had said something or done something.
Yes.
Maybe even, like a public speaking opportunity
Yes.
to do something that I passed up on all the time or whatever. So I think that I'm starting to see, I don't know if it's quite a rebel, but regret is propelling this for me.
And you're
I'm
young.
not a natural rebel.
Yeah.
I would say. I'm a coward too.
But actually what happens is the only time we don't speak up because we perceive a personal loss or personal rejection. That's the only time we won't speak up. So there's somewhere along the line we actually But like you said, if there's a lot of rebels, you automatically become quiet. But at a certain age, that rebel rises because you're so used to it. So it could just be that time. So why not just wake it up now? Bring it to awakeness right now. And you'll see. And it's always small acts. It doesn't have to be changing, your country name or the political leader right away. It can just be very, very small acts, Like I could be at Safeway and I think something is not quite there. I would actually take a moment and report that. And then people after me don't have to think about that because it's fixed. So it's just little things, that really can bring the life force back. So it starts with personal, like personally, personally you need to do it. But if you just know that this is one space where one person playing all these roles, it just looks different. So it's all self-dialogue, but people looking different, So you don't have fear then of people, right? So, but the only fear, I think the biggest fear they say is public speaking. So it's, they say it's being alone, yeah.
Being alone was
Yeah.
cited as the number one fear over death.
Yeah,
Over being afraid of dying.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was a few years. I
That's why solitary confinement is the worst punishment, probably. Yeah, in those India and other countries, they would send them to islands, isolated islands, the criminals. So your mind will drive you crazy because and you have nobody to talk to. But I'm going to again close with dharma. There is only one calling we humans have, and that's why we're on this planet, because we're called to, because of dharma. So it's our cosmic duty, cosmic order, that we actually live to the fullest. We're not here to be scared. We're not here to, it's if you see a conflict, fix it. Do, strategize, get help, whatever. If you have a disease, find something who will help you, right? It doesn't matter what it is, there's help out there. So start to ask, start to tell, start to share. Life just gets better, and next week will even be better. So we will close here. And if you're on Facebook, I have 2 pages. I have one that was the personal Facebook, but I've got the maximum 5,000 friends, which I started a while ago. But so I've got a public page also. So you can always join that. So there you can see both pages. You can actually see when we're coming on with meditations or conversations. And these are, you're going to find these on both the pages. Yeah. Also, there's YouTube channel, there's all the stuff. But Facebook right now is everything. So thank you for joining here, and thank you out there, and hi Wendy, and I saw Manish, I saw many, many friends. So we'll soon be talking to you. If you out there have questions or feel inspired, please share, and please share with others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.